the Waitangi Tribunal are going to be having an urgent hearing to do with David Seymour's new legislation, the Regulatory Standards Bill. It hasn't even been written. Now, there's two things that are problematic with this hearing today. The first is that it's even occurring, all right, over a piece of legislation that hasn't been introduced into the House at all. And when you think about it, even if it had been introduced into the, well, no, they couldn't have it have been introduced into the House. Apparently it's illegal. You can only inquire into stuff that hasn't been. It's absurd when you think about it. But then the second part of that is, why shouldn't Parliament be allowed, and particularly the government of the day, to introduce legislation into the House? Why, when they say we're going to do this, which is the democratic process in operation, and you've got to go to, in this particular case, a select committee and out for public discussion and input and things like that, what's the matter with democracy? I mean, we elect the House of Representatives, all of them, from Te Pāti Māori on the one hand to David Seymour on the other, and everybody in between. We elect them to be the democratic rulers, that's the proper word, of this country. And if we don't like what they do, then in 3 years' time we get the opportunity to chuck them out again. It's called democracy. But the treaty of the Waitangi Tribunal want to be able to say, and clearly are saying, even by having this hearing today, we want to interfere in your right to do that. We don't think, because that's all they can do, or we recommend that you don't introduce that legislation. Why? Because we say so. Which is sort of like, excuse me, when did you become this quasi-Supreme Court that can strike down, or at least attempt to strike down, morally only, at the moment, but who knows what amendments Willie Jackson would bring in should the centre-left get elected at the next election. But just with Te Pāti Māori, don't forget, as one of the principal partners of that coalition, who knows what new powers the Waitangi Tribunal would call upon itself. But that's the first part of this that's extraordinary, that you've got this taxpayer-funded junket, I'd call it, rather than judicial body, or quasi-judicial body, seeking to strike down legislation that hasn't even arrived, but is part of the democratic process. Extraordinary. But the second aspect is, who made the complaint? Now, I'm pretty sure that Waitangi Tribunal was set up essentially for hapu and iwi and whānau, well, not so much, so representative Maori bodies to in actual fact go, listen, we've got a bit of a problem here. I'm pretty sure that's how the whole theory worked. You know, that, oh, you're a representative Maori body, you represent this group of people, you have since the year dot, cool, off you go. And with sometimes the exception of maybe the New Zealand Maori Council, although they're not iwi based, are they? No. So anyhow, no. The people who have made this complaint are Toitu Te Tiriti. They're the same people, Eru Kapakingi on the mob, who led the anti-treaty march in Hikoi, 2-3 months ago. It's their group. They are essentially Te Pāti Māori in drag. Well, not even drag. No, they haven't. They've abandoned the lipstick and the high heels. They're just Te Pāti Māori, for Pete's sake. And they are funded in good part by the New Zealand taxpayer, from Eru Kapakingi, who draws a very nice salary, thanks very much, to work at Auckland University, to a whole series of others who have arranged for Toitu Te Tiriti, who are intimately connected with that particular political party. So let me get this right. The Waitangi Tribunal are trying to see whether or not they should strike down legislation, essentially. If they could be given the power, they would, but they're going to be recommended it should be struck down after they receive a complaint from a remnant, or rather large rump, of Te Pāti Māori. How extraordinary is that? And what an affront to democracy and decision-making in this country. But that's what you're getting today. Oh, by the way, you're paying for it all. You're paying for the lawyers. You're paying for the judges. You're paying for the stenographers and all the staff that service the Waitangi Tribunal. You're paying for the rental of the premises. You're paying for the people who are eventually going to write the report. You're paying for the charade that is happening today. Can I just say, if this is democracy, New Zealand isn't a democratic nation by definition. And if This is how we apportion public monies to essentially oil and grease the machinations and wheels of party activists way out there on the fringe, then we live in a very strange world indeed. There are people who are not going to be getting hospital operations today. There are kids not going to school. There are inadequate teachers and curriculum throughout the country. There are police that we apparently can't recruit because we're not paying them enough. But dear Lord, we can waste millions on this tribunal and its naval introspection on a daily basis. It is time for them. Those are my thoughts this morning. What are yours?